I bought the most expensive and highest rated laptop cooler on Amazon. With over 1,000 sales in the past month, I was expecting some crazy temperature drops as well as some crazy FPS boosts. And in this video, I'll be trying out the laptop cooler for myself to see if it's actually worth the money or if it's just an overpriced piece of junk. Unboxing the cooler, it comes with a few wires, this weird foam filter thing, and the cooler itself. In hand, it just feels really premium, and if you're paying for anything here, you're paying for the build quality because it definitely feels better than my laptop itself, and it just looks better than every laptop cooler on the market right now. It also comes with a lot of useful features, including adjustable feet, adjustable fan speeds, and strangely enough, apart from the power cord, it also comes with a USB-C to USB Type-A cable, but it actually connects your laptop to the cooler, not as a power source, but as a USB dock, which allows you to have 2 extra USB ports, which is very useful because my laptop only has 3 and now I have 5. As a person who often takes their laptop to school, there are definitely a lot of workflow issues that I run into, especially during a school week. It gets annoying unplugging my mouse dongle, keyboard, and microphone every time I want to convert my laptop from a home workstation to a portable computer. So the USB dock system is very convenient, especially if you feel like your laptop could use a few more USB ports. I couldn't even connect my wired controller without sacrificing one of my other peripherals until now. So this USB dock is a huge plus for me as a laptop user. Another issue occurs when I leave my laptop sitting on my desk overnight. Even while dusting and vacuuming my room consistently, I find that my laptop gets dusty fast. Sure, it's easy to wipe it off every morning, but the dust that seeps through the exhaust and intake vents is definitely an issue, so the cooler fixes that issue for me as well. With this huge piece of memory foam, it keeps all the dust from seeping through the bottom, and the bottom of the cooling pad also has a foam filter, which prevents the cooler from blowing dust into my laptop. Despite all these benefits, it's definitely not something that you can just bring with you, so in my opinion, the best use case is like mine, where you usually use your laptop as a home workstation on an external monitor, and honestly, even if you don't have an external monitor, you just have like a keyboard and a mouse, this will still be useful. The problem is that the first thing you'll notice after putting it on your desk and turning it on is just how weird this thing looks. It straight up just looks like an RGB stovetop. It's pretty big, and at its lowest setting, it makes a similar amount of noise as my laptop. And once you turn it up to its max setting, you can hear it even with noise canceling headphones on. But fortunately, you will never need to leave it that high because it actually does work pretty well even at 300 RPM. Speaking of RGB stovetop, the RGB itself is very bright. When compared to my laptop keyboard and external keyboard, which I already thought was pretty bright, this thing is on a whole nother level. It even has a cute little animation when you turn it off, and I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, a few different color options, and definitely more than I will ever need. You might notice that a lot of sponsored YouTubers, when they review a laptop cooler like this, they put it on full blast and brag about how big the temperature drops are. Actually, who is putting their laptop cooler on full blast? It's louder than the toilet flushing at 3 AM. No matter how hot my laptop gets, I'm definitely not putting it on full blast. And I'm sure at this point, you're pretty curious about how low the temperatures can drop. So because I'm not a PC nerd who's cranking numbers all day, not only did I do CPU and GPU stress tests to see how well this laptop cooler can perform under the worst possible scenarios, I tested it in video games as well to see if you can actually get a solid FPS boost with this thing. And I'm going to remind you again that this cooler is $115, so we're going to have to expect some crazy temperature differences and some crazy FPS boosts to justify that price. So I first did the GPU stress test, and without the laptop cooler, we were maxing out at around 80 degrees Celsius, which is a little bit uncomfortable. But once we turned it up to just 800 RPM, we managed to drop it all the way down to 65 degrees Celsius, which is way better. After the GPU stress test, it only makes sense to show you the CPU one next. Here we maxed out at 90.25 degrees Celsius, but even with a laptop cooler at 800 RPM, we were still unable to drop the temperature past 90.25 degrees. So I think that there's a hard cap on my CPU that forces as much power through it as it can until it reaches that temperature. But at this point, it only makes sense to test it in video games, because as we can see, the CPU is running at the same temperature no matter what. So maybe with this cooler, we'll be able to squeeze out a little bit more performance out of our CPU and probably get more FPS in Fortnite. And the Fortnite benchmark results went exactly as I expected. This is the same replay being played on either side of the screen. Here on the right is using the laptop cooler, and on the left is without the laptop cooler, and there is a very clear difference of about 10 FPS, which is pretty good. Keep in mind that this thing can go up to 2800 RPM, so if you wanted to squeeze out as much FPS as you want from your laptop, you can always turn it up to 2800 RPM. But for me, the noise is a very big issue, so I decided to just leave it at 800 for the benchmarks. But yeah, we finished the benchmark with an 11 FPS boost. Next, I decided to run Shadow of the Tomb Raider's benchmark with max settings and max ray tracing with a laptop cooler. At only 800 RPM, you can see that we're getting way better results. Obviously, running ultra settings with ultra ray tracing is completely overkill for my laptop, but I decided to push the limits to make sure that my GPU is actually trying to reach its max temperature while pushing out the most frames. And it's a little bit weird because during the middle and the end of the benchmark, we were getting closer and closer results. So despite the massive temperature differences, we didn't see that much of a difference in FPS. We got an embarrassing 47 FPS without the laptop cooler, and with the laptop cooler, we got around a 6.38% FPS boost. Overall, very decent results for such low fan speeds. Earlier, I said that this cooler was $115, but if you think that's too much, I put discount codes in the description if you want to buy one of these laptop coolers for yourself. But I'll be gifting this one to a friend because I just got a new PC, and if you want to see me try to optimize my brand new PC until I get 1000 FPS, watch this video next.